Hey designers! Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be making a simple pickleball themed birthday card for my mother-in-law whose birthday is in a couple weeks. I had paper that I already had lying around at home and I used some pre-made images on Cricut. So I had this fun patterned paper and I used the colors in this to create a color scheme and tie it all together. If this is something that you're interested in, follow along to learn how to make it. So the video is going to start off in Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to my bookmarked images and I'm selecting a few that I think I'm going to use for the design of the card. And I decided I'm going to use this pickleball paddle and then a handle from another design and the pickleball from the one design. And I'm adding in some squares that are serving as the paper for my card. Now I already have that cut separately, so I'm going to delete them later, but it's just helping to visualize the card here in Design Space. And I'm changing the colors to match the actual paper of the card. And I know I want 2 pickleballs on the inside of the card as well. And here I'm going in and typing what I want to say. And I have some bookmarked fonts, and it's gonna end up saying serving you a happy birthday. So the fonts I did, you can slow down and pause if you want to see which ones I used. And then make sure you align and center that. And then also group the text together. And I'm gonna be drawing it out with a pen. And then on the inside of the card, I'm using a bookmark font as well, and it's going to say have a ball, and that will also be with a Cricut pen. And then I'm just going in and deleting the squares because I don't want the Cricut to cut that. It was just to help me get an idea of what I want this to look like. And then I'm also going in and adding circles that are going to be cut out for the background of the pickleball just to give it some more dimension, and that'll match the background of the pickleball board. Starting off, I'm going to have the beige background with white on top for the actual card. And then I'm using these color swatches, which came from this booklet right here, which I got from Michael's. I'm going to use this for the front of the paddle. And then this blue is going to be the background for everything. And then red for the handle of the paddle. And then the green for the pickleballs. I'm also doing an envelope. So I'm just using an envelope that I already have, I think I got from Amazon. And then I'm going to use this fun pattern that kind of ties in all the colors together as the inside of the envelope. And I know I'm going to do my card as a 4x6. So basically the background I'm going to cut first. So I know that I want the width to be 6 inches. So I'm just lining that up, and you can see the measurements at the top right here. Alright. And then I'm going to go back in again and just create a sharper cut over this. I'm going to crease it down again. And then do it at a little under 4, because this is it has to fit in the envelope. Alright. So now that we have that done, I'm going to do the white, and I'm going to do the white twice. So basically I'm going to cut the white overlay here, and then one for the inside as well. So I'm going to line that up
little bit under 4, so probably like 3.75 for that. And then gonna do probably 5.75 for that. And then just to show you, it'll look something like that on the front. And then I'm gonna do the same exact thing for the inside as well. So just again, gonna pop that. Let's do 5.75. And then move it over. I'm gonna do 3.75. Alright, and then just to show you, when you open it, where the inside is, I'm gonna have it something like that. And I'm just gonna do it for that part, and we'll leave this. Maybe I'll do, you know what, I might do the same fun pattern from the envelope just to tie it all together as well. That could be cute. Alright, so next we're gonna actually start with the Cricut cutting. So you're gonna go, let's go back. So you're gonna go to your canvas that you have set up, and you're gonna click Make It. And then we're gonna do On a Mat, Confirm, and then, so I know that basically the inside of the white that I cut out earlier is gonna go on the mat first because that's what we're doing the writing on. Have a ball, we're actually gonna be writing with a Cricut pen. And then if you're not familiar with Cricut pens, there's the calligraphy, you can see that, and it shows the type, or you can just get the normal writing pens, and it shows the thickness of the pen. So this one's a pretty fine point. Then if you go over here to one of these, this is a medium tip. So it's got that, it's a little bit thicker. I think I'm gonna use this one. We're gonna go ahead and put that in the first spot in the Cricut. It'll tell you spot A, and it'll give you instructions on your computer as well. Okay, so as I mentioned, your computer is gonna give you instructions. So you're just gonna click cardstock, and then it'll say you don't need any materials other than the pen. So we've loaded the pen in, and then this is something silly, but I always put the lid on top because I feel like I'm always losing the lid to my pens. So then I'm going to show you when you go back here to edit. If you don't remember where you lined up your paper, it'll show you here. And then basically I've just lined it up 1 and 1. And make sure it's all nice and stuck. I'm using the standard grip. They're all labeled by color, so this is the green one. So I'm just going to confirm what I have here. And then we're going to go ahead and put it in the Cricut and load the mat. Alright, and then press the go button. When it's all done, you're going to press the flashing button to unload the mat. And then you can see here, it's all nice and done. Okay, so step number 2, we're going to go ahead and do the handle of the paddleboard. So we're going to go over here and just click Edit, and it shows you where it's lined up. So I'm actually going to line this paper up with the top corner. I'm not going to do 1-to-1 because it's cutting in that area. Just going to make sure it's all stuck down so you want it to stick. And then I'm going to click Done. And on the screen, it shows that you just need the fine point blade, which I've gone ahead and put in the B compartment and taken out the pen. Make sure you take out the pen. Right, and we're just going to load it in. go button. And press the unlock, and then just to show you here, it's got the paddle for the paddleboard. And again, just peel it off. Now we're going to move on to the next step. So this is the pickleballs. So we're just going to line that up, and then up here. And then this has a lot of intricate holes. So I'm actually going to go back 1 second. And this is a trick. If you go to default pressure, you can do more. And then that just saves you in the long run from not having to do more weeding than necessary, especially with all the little holes that it has. So then once that's set, we're just going to load it again. I'm just going to go ahead and unload that. It's all set. And so as I showed you, I did the more pressure. So this will actually just peel right off, or it should. And then look at that. It's pretty easy. And then basically all I'll have to go in and do is just pop all of these out. Actually kind of take them out here gently. And they give a pickleball, and I'll just have to pop out all the holes. Okay, so I went to edit here, and I basically just moved all of these around so it'll all fit on this little piece of paper. And then I did go back in like I did on the first cut, and I lined this up with 1 and 1. So we're just going to smooth that down. And then do continue. And then another thing I forgot to show you is on here, you're going to, when you're editing it, you can kind of see on the grid, it ends at the 7. So we're cutting it close, but it won't hang off at all. So it should be good. And then again, just make sure your pressure is on more. I'm going to go ahead and load that in. And press the flashing button. So here, got the background for all 3 of the pickleballs, which we cut out already. And then we have the background for the pickleball paddle. Okay, so after that, we're gonna go in and do the other paddleboard design that I had actually picked out. You're gonna go in, make sure your pressure has changed to more, and I am keeping the 2 options just because I don't know which one I like, so we'll see. So it gives it some flair if I decide to do this one. And then, as I said earlier, you can use the spatula tool. I don't know if that's what it's called, but that's what I call it. this little middle section. You can see that at all. Peel it off. And then it's going to be this little middle one. So we're going to keep the outline, keep the center paddle, and then keep this stripe here. Alright. And then we're done with the Cricut. Okay. So as you saw, this was the simple paddleboard design, pickleboard design that I might use for the paddle. And then this one's the more intricate one. So we've got some tweezers here just to grab the little pieces. And then we've got our weeding tool to pop out the little pieces. So that's little stripe. I think it's crazy how little some of these pieces can get. See, it won't even focus. Alright, so we're going to save that as well. And then as I said, this is the piece that we're actually taking out. So it's kind of started already, but we're just going to weed the rest of that out. The fun thing about kind of creating your own designs on Cricut is, say I wanted to actually use this design instead. You could keep that piece and use that if you don't want to deal with all of the little pieces. But I'm gonna try and use these pieces to kind of create a design on the paddleboard, or on the pickleboard. I don't know why I keep saying paddleboard. The pickleboard paddle. And it'll kind of look something like that once it's on the background, because remember we have the dark blue for the background as well. Right, so this design is done. We're gonna set this aside. And then you can either keep the scraps or get rid of them. Okay. So next, we're gonna do the tiny pieces of the pickleballs at the handle for the pickleboard paddle that I have to cut out here. And then just a tip, always make sure when you're weeding, you're using a cutting board so you don't scratch up the surface of whatever you're on. Like my desk will easily get scratched up. And it just pops out. It's pretty easy. So there we have that. And then we just have to go in and do all of these ridges in the handle as well. So this is the handle once it's all done, and sometimes the back ends up looking better, so you can really use either side, but that's all set. So now we're going to move on to the pickleballs. Pickleballs completely done, and remember it's going to have a background on it, so it might look a little unfinished and funky right now. Great, so the next thing we're going to do weed out is the pickleboard paddle outline, and then the outline for the three. Simple. We've got the back of that, and I'm going to set that aside and move on to the background for the pickleballs. Those three just really popped out. That was pretty easy.
So we're back in Cricut Design Space, and I'm getting ready to write the front of the card, which will say serving you a happy birthday, and this is going to be with the Cricut pen, so you have to make sure that it's lined up pretty precisely because you're writing on the front of the card, so you don't really want to mess up. So I'm kind of eyeing it, and then I'll show on the actual grid that it'll match up to be centered and at the bottom half of the card.
I'm gonna have the Cricut right on the front, so I lined it up here, and I'm going to take out this blade because we're not cutting. We're gonna safely put that over there, and then I have my pin that I'm actually going to put into A. And make sure the arrow is lined up and clicks in all the way, and you want that closed, and you want that clicked. They're going to load in. The writing, so that's what it's going to look like. I'm also going to go ahead and cut out what I need from this. So I'm going to be doing, as I said earlier, the inside of the envelope. So it's going to go in here and line that. And then I did also decide I'm going to do the inside of this card as well with this pattern. So I did some, I don't know if you can see that, rough pen markings. So we did 5.75 and 3.45. And that's going to go on the inside. And then for adhesive, I'll be using this tape runner glue, and I'm just going to put it on the back of the decorative paper. I'm going to do all of the edges, and then a diagonal down the middle. That should hold it. The inside of the card. Then I have this as well. I have this that'll be going in the front. Just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and tape all of the cutouts I have so far onto this. card is done. And then all I have left are these two little pickleballs right here. So I just have to put these together, and those go on the inside. Thanks for following along with me while we made this card. If this is something you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow along for more designs.